Today's episode is sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and NC Football Connections. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the All Season 365 podcast. Be sure to follow us on X, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and Spotify channels. Our ultimate goal here is to connect with as many coaches as possible, but not just here in North Carolina, across the country. That's our goal. Today, we have a special guest. We have Coach Reggie Robertson, defensive line coach at Northeast Guilford High School in Greensboro, North Carolina.
Yes,
Coach, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Coach. How about yourself?
Man, I'm well, man. Thanks for asking. Shout out to you for representing the Triad, man.
Yes, sir.
Anytime I get a chance to connect with Triad coaches, man, it's a beautiful thing, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Nice to have you.
Absolutely, Coach. Well, before we get to today's topic, which is climbing the coaching ladder, that's always a popular topic on our show. Give our listeners a quick snapshot of your journey up until this point.
So I'm going into year 3 as a 25-year-old JV defense coordinator and also varsity D-line coach. I started my journey at Atkins High School in 2024, going into that year. So that was my first year coaching anything. Shout out to Coach Behringer, shout out to Coach Singletary, Coach James. Those guys, they taught me a lot in the short time span I was there. Never coached AAU, never coached middle school, nothing like that. So I kind of met Coach Behringer through a friend, and he gave, we started talking ball. He gave me a chance. That being said, I came on at Atkins as just D-line coach, and then something happened with the original defensive coordinator we had there, like right before the season. And Coach Behringer gave me a shot to, call the defensive plays. Didn't know much, but I was learning as I went. We didn't do so great there, record-wise, but it was a lot to learn that year. I had the honor of coaching Garrison Dibble. He was an All-American defensive end. He's currently at Navy. He helped me out a lot. I helped him out a lot as well. We kind of, bumped heads a little bit here and there, but he was a great player for me. And I ended up leaving to go to Northeast Guilford because I wanted to coach under and learn under Coach Antonio Hall, who was also my coach at Dudley High School whenever I was in high school. So it was kind of like a full circle moment, and I couldn't pass up on that opportunity.
Nah, man, and that's just how it go. And I will say this, I mean, and this is what we use in the business world, man. People, they can chase money, but chase good management, right? So anytime that you get a chance to work with those who you truly respect or have seen the top of the mountain or have a lot of experience and a lot of intel that they can share, they willingly share, they don't gatekeep, man, you jump on that opportunity all day, man. So,
yes, sir.
So kudos to you for taking that leap, man. But let's go ahead and get to it, man. Climbing the coaching ladder, always popular. So my question is, what steps did you take early in your career to build trust with your head coach and the staff?
Honestly, I'll tell you what my issue was starting off. I took a lot of things personal. And one thing that Behringer and Coach Hall taught me was you cannot take everything personal. No. Especially in this profession. You're going to mess up. Your coaches are going to get on you. Your players might not do what you coached them to do. You can't take it personal. You just got to take that on the head and use that to become a better coach. Use that to become a better teacher as well to the kids. I say that was my first and most important step of, trying to climb up this ladder. Can't take things personally. And another thing is just being a great assistant coach. Our head coaches have a lot of things on their plate.
A lot.
They got a lot of stuff going on in the building, in the school. They have a lot of stuff dealing with field, game day operations, stuff like that. And every school isn't blessed to have people in those positions to take that off the head coach. So whatever you can do as an assistant coach is just take it off the head coach. That's how I feel like you can climb the ladder like that.
And the old saying, and for those who listen to the show a lot, I might, I'm a man of quotes. I pretty much say the same thing over and over, and it's all good. But be the assistant coach that you want to someday hire. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So
Yes,
whenever
sir.
you get your chance to lead a program, ask yourself, hey, do you want to hire the assistant coach that is going to be there, that's going to show up, that's going to try their best to do the right thing, that's going to do a good job, right? Like,
Right.
you know, take pride in being that coach, man. Because here's the deal, and this, I had to learn this as a young coach, and I'm an older coach now, but the head coach will never assign a task to you that they wouldn't do by themselves.
Right.
Okay. Like, I remember coming up in this game, and I used to see my head coaches out there mowing fields, lining fields, washing laundry, the first person there, the last person to leave, right? So if they ask you to, you know, sweep the floor, man, you better believe it. They'll do it themselves. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they'll do it themselves, man. And no detail is too small, man. And some people might feel like it's grunt work. Trust me, man. Or to be a head coach, from what I heard, hey, man, you got to be willing to do it, to do everything all the time. And that's just what it is.
Right. And I've seen that with Behringer and Coach Hall. Like, I've seen them do everything they ask about us. I've seen them do it. So you cannot get, oh, why he doing this to me, or why he asking me to do this. He would do it himself too. Just take off the logo.
Man, take pride in it. And what people don't know is a lot of the head coaches drive buses too, man. So
right.
You know, them CDLs, man.
Right. Yeah, that's a good one too. That's a great one.
Look at them CDLs.
Right.
So how do you balance mastering your position group while still learning the entire game?
You try. What I try to do is master one at a time on which day. So in our indie periods, in our team group, team drills, whatever, focus on what's at hand. Focus on the task at hand. If we're doing indie, because usually our indie is with JV and varsity, so I can teach my JV guys as well, and then carry over what we do to team whenever we do go, you know, team defense on JV or team offense on JV as well. So pretty much focus on task at hand. Now throughout the week, obviously you got your scouting, you got you know, preparing for the game and stuff like that. You know, not every JV team, but some JV teams, especially in the triad, kind of run the same variation with the offense. With the varsity runs.
Right.
So it's pretty much just game preparing, and game planning for both of those. You know, for Thursday and Friday night.
And you brought up a good point, especially for those who have dreams of someday being a coordinator. Man, this thing about like this, and you just hit it right on the head, right? So as a positional coach, you just focus on your position, right? But as a coordinator, you have to focus on everybody's position, right? And you have to hope that everyone is doing their job, so that you, as a potential play caller, when you call that play, right, everything falls into place, you know. But coordinating is very conceptual, and as a head coach, that's big program, right? And it's just a lot. So yeah, you know, that's a great way to put it. Focusing on little pieces, right? And just focus on those. But as time progressed, get more specific. You brought up the scouting reports, you brought up the film study, and as long as you coach it, man, that's just what it's going to be.
Right. And then just, you know, putting trust into your other position coaches. Like, I feel like I have the best staff. Of course, every coach is going to say this, but I feel like I really have the best staff in the state. So whenever it is time for team defense or team, you know, whatever, I feel like the guys in the other positions are already equipped with what we're about to bring in and what we're about to learn. And we can just bring it all together because of the teachings of our other staff. I feel like everybody plays such a pivotal part, and especially on our staff, where, you know, it comes all together.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's definitely a true statement. So let me ask you this. In your opinion, what habits separate young coaches who move up quickly from those that don't? Listening
and not knowing and acting like you don't know everything, because you don't know everything.
There you go.
And that's one thing. This is a problem I have in life. Like, I feel like I went through a period where, you know, my mom and dad got on me. You don't know everything. And it followed me into football a little bit until I had, you know, back down. I'm like, okay, I don't know everything. Right. Listen and learn. That will get you farther than what you think it will, you know what I'm saying, what it'll get you. Listening and learning and just being quiet and observing.
What the thing? And that's what I was about to say, man. So here's the deal, man. I'm working on year 16, and here's the deal: when I go to clinics, because I do go to clinics, I'm sitting there and I'm paying attention, and my goal is to find something that something new that I didn't already know. But even with the stuff that I know, I'm trying to figure out a more efficient way to teach it, right? Because as you know, in high school, that's JV or varsity, time is not on our side, man. So we got to always kind of figure out ways to teach quick enough so that our guys can play fast, but you don't have time on your side, man. So as long as you're coaching, I don't care if it's year 1, year 2, year 5, year 20, man, there's always something out there that you can learn, man. So pride yourself on having a growth mindset, man.
Definitely. Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. So how important in your opinion, how important is networking, and how have you built meaningful relationships in coaching?
I think it's very important. I feel like, for one, me personally, I'm gonna just give a little personal story. Coaching and just high prestige coaches has been in my life all of my life. My dad was a coach at Dudley. Steve Davis is my godfather, so I've watched, and Coach Hall, he's been in my life all my life pretty much. So I've watched greatness pretty much all of my life. I've watched excellence and how to run a program and instill the culture into your program all my life. So it's like, I feel like the networking as well. The networking is good because you don't know who you know. You don't know who knows who.
There you go.
And I learned this from my brother. My brother, he's a pro scout for the Tennessee Titans.
Nice.
Just pretty much find ways to add value. You never know. He taught me that, and that always stuck with me, because you never know. Again, like I said, you never know who knows who. You find ways to add value. Those people are listening. You're in those rooms. They'll easily it's been a couple of times in his journey where he got caught up from a guy that I remember him from years ago because he added value in some type of way, some type of way. So pretty much it's add value.
I love it. Yeah, absolutely. Adding value and take your pride, take pride in doing the jobs that other people might not want to do. But let's touch on this networking thing. I mean, so going to clinics can be very intimidating for coaches, especially if you go with your staff. Obviously, there's that comfort there, right? But sometimes you might go to a clinic and you don't know anybody, right? That can be intimidating because you don't know what everybody's thinking. But here's the deal, man. This is what I learned a long time ago. The same people that you share in those rooms with are there for the same reasons you're there with. There for, right? To meet people, to learn something, to network, right? And for example, so the latest clinic, did you go to the Glacier Clinic?
Yes, sir. We just went there.
Okay. So I missed that one, but I hear that it was fantastic, right? I was on a quick break, but I did. So I went to the Coalition, the clinic in DC, and Alonzo Carter and them boys, right? Oliver, they challenged everybody there. They say, hey, listen, I know that you guys came here together, but I challenge every coach in here to meet at least 5 new people that you didn't know before you leave, right? Like they challenged us to meet 5, and they said, hey, if you're really feeling good, meet 10 people that you didn't know before you came here, right? So with that being said, when you go to these clinics, like you talk ball, but there's a great opportunity for you to break bread, get to know people, because like you said, you don't know who knows who. Right. And you don't know who's having those conversations behind those closed doors to help you get that next opportunity.
Right. I feel like, again, just a personal thing about me. I'm a people person. So those clinics, I feel like you have that confidence to just walk up and speak to somebody, just build a relationship with somebody just off that. I feel like you can't be hesitant or scared to speak. And this is just not even only for football. This is for life.
Yeah, that's true.
If you want to speak to somebody or get to know somebody, just walk up to them and talk to them.
That's it.
The worst thing they can say is no.
I mean, just a simple hello, hey coach, how are you? Shake their hand, keep it moving, right? And if they're in the middle of a conversation, they'll say, hey, nice to meet you. But hey man, you can have those conversations too, man. They might be talking about D-line play. Oh, guess what? Hey, how do you coach your shade, man? How you coach your 3 technique? How you coach your 4-out, right? You know what I'm saying? So that's how it is. But you also brought up a good point about adding value to a program. So what, in your opinion, what's the best way to add value to a program beyond just coaching your position?
Instilling the culture.
There you go.
Whatever culture you and your staff have in the meetings before y'all the season starts, whatever y'all want to bring to your team, you have to instill it day one. And that's one thing Coach Hall has definitely drilled into us and told us and coached us as coaches to instill into the kids. We all know the standard, like Coach Tomlin said the same thing. The standard is the standard.
That's it.
Whatever your standard is for your team and your school, you have to drill it into those kids. I feel like that's step one. That's step one.
That's a good point there, man. And to add on to what you just said, adding value, right? That word is used loosely. That's just what it is. Just like culture is used loosely, right? But my opinion on the whole situation, when you add value, it's about coaching the athlete, coaching the full athlete. Like coaching the full athlete, the whole athlete. You have your kid. What I love about high school is that, hey, listen, you're going to have your studs that's going to play the next level, right? Well, make sure that they're equipped to not only get there, but stay there, right? But you have even more that's not going to play in the next level, right? But you still got to get them ready for life beyond the game, right? To have a job, to have a family, right? So if you can bring that element to your position group or just to the team, where you're like, hey, listen, let's win these championships. Oh, by the way, turn your grades in on time. Show up to class. Okay, don't skip school, right? I did it, right? We all made mistakes, but you know what I'm saying, like that type of stuff, man, and that'll go a long way. So good point. So let me ask you this, man, because of setbacks. I was talking to my buddy today. He applied for a few jobs, and I didn't get any of the jobs. He was a little bummed about it, right? And my reply was, hey, some of those jobs that you might think you want, you don't really want, right? So my question is, how do you handle setbacks or being overlooked for promotions?
I'm a big believer in, if it's not for me, it's not for me. I'm a big believer in God, so I feel like everything is God's word. I'm a big believer in if I get rejected, it just wasn't for me. It might be another door that opened up when that door closed. You can't get too down on yourself. Yes, you can look in the mirror and see what you can change about you, but if you really feel true, if you really believe in yourself and understand the work that you put in, understand the ethic that you have, that situation just wasn't meant for you. And it could be another door that opens up along the way. You just can't get too down on yourself. That's the biggest step. A lot of coaches and really a lot of people in life, they get down on themselves when they want something so bad and they don't get it. And it's like, okay, they're stuck. They don't know what to do. Just pivot. Just pivot. That's all.
Yeah. You definitely get frustrated when things don't go your way, especially if you feel like you're prepared for that position. But like you said, man, my piece of advice is this: be where your feet are, right? And use every situation as an opportunity. Okay. I mean, you have the growth mindset. We already touched on that, but don't look at the bad in the situation, right? Look at the opportunity. Look at look at the opportunity, right? So for example, if you apply for a coordinator job and you didn't get it, hey man, of course it's okay to feel sad or be upset about it, right? But go to the drawing board, okay? Practice, right? Draw defensive alignments versus spread versus wishbone versus wing T, right? And once you start doing that, you start to build that confidence in your brain so that when you do get your call, and it's going to happen, right? But when you do get your call, when that head coach or that AD say, hey, draw this up, you can draw it up with confidence because you put that time in.
And I'll go to piggyback off that. It's just, again, don't get down on yourself, but also look in the mirror and see what could have I been better? What could I have been better at?
There you go.
Be honest with yourself. You can't sit here and tell yourself, "Oh, I did that great. I did this great. I don't know what happened. Well, I don't know why he didn't pick me." Let's be honest with yourself. Look in the mirror, see what you can do better, and go back to the drawing board, like you just said. And then again, it might be another door that opened up.
And to add on to what you just said, there is for anyone who has a teaching background, right? You get evaluated by APs and principals all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have like boxes and standards, and you have a pre meeting, and then you have a post meeting, right? But
Yes,
that's an opportunity for you to look at that feedback. And obviously, if you feel like it's fair, you're going to apply it. But if you don't feel like it's fair, you reserve the right to point out to the AP or to the principal and say, hey, thank you for the feedback, but explain this a little bit more. Okay.
right.
But once you start, yeah, absolutely. You can ask questions, and as long as you ask in the right way, everything is okay, especially with those evaluations, So so definitely do that. So what skills what's your opinion on this? What skills matter most for advancement? Do you think that it's communication, organization, film study, recruiting? What skills do you think matter most for advancement?
Communication and I would say communication for one, availability and accountability.
There you go.
Accountability is your best ability. Coach Massey at Winston State taught me that. Being accountable, being dependable.
That's it. That might be number one, dog. Being
accountable, being dependable. You can learn all the X's and O's and football stuff. You're going to learn throughout the way. You are. But the characteristic stuff, the dependable, the accountability, that's non-negotiable in order for you to advance.
Yeah,
that's non-negotiable.
Absolutely. And you'll pick up all the other stuff in time, like, to add on what you just said, obviously communicating, and the more experience you do, the more times you do it, the better you'll get. Organizations, you'll pick that up. But that I'll probably say at the top of the poll is that dependability, man. Like for your head coach to know, hey, I can call this guy, he's going to show up, he's going to do a good job. I can teach the other stuff, right? But half the battle is showing up. Half the battle is showing up, So before I let you go, Coach, if you could go back to your first year coaching, what would you do differently to accelerate your growth? I got my answer, but I want to hear yours.
Truthfully and honestly, be in the film room as more than I should have been. I was in there, but I wasn't in there as much as I should have been, especially as a first year coach. Again, because I didn't coach anything before that. And it's like I knew what came with it, but I didn't know all of it that came. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't take it as serious as I wanted. That's a regret. I feel like we could have been a little bit better than what we were. I learned that last year though. Last year, my first year at Northeast, I definitely learned that. And then going into year 3, I want to put it all together. But yeah, it was just definitely that. And just learning situational football. When to substitute, who should be in on third down. Especially, as a first year defense coordinator, just learning like more coverages, in what situations, what to call, and at what time. You know what I'm saying? So stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say too. Looking back at my career, year 1, year 2, year 1 and 2, I wish I would have took more notes. I wish I would have took more notes. I wish I would have kept a lot of that stuff that I had back then. The notebooks, like that, because the staffs that I was a part of, they had like the binders with the playbooks and stuff. Right. I can't even find some of that stuff, man. So if any coach that I coach with in year 1 and year 2, man, holler at me, man. I need that stuff. but I wish I would have took more notes. The film part, like, I think I was okay there, but I wish I would have like drew more early than I did. I wish that I would have asked more questions. I wish that I would have, pulled my head coach to the side and asked for more responsibility as opposed to waiting for him to give me more responsibility,
Right.
Those are just a few things that, if I would have addressed those a lot early on, things would have picked up a lot quicker. But, no time for regrets, but it's okay to self-reflect anytime that you want to, see things, so there's nothing wrong with that.
Definitely, I just want to piggyback off that, but definitely should have to add another one. Definitely getting on the board more. I feel like board work helped me. Coach Barringer helped me with board work sometimes, but I feel like if I would have did it more, I would have learned quicker.
Yeah, quicker.
Definitely would have learned quicker.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you for listening to the All Season 365 podcast. I'm Coach Simmons here with Coach Robertson. Man, we signing off.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for having me.
Always. Today's episode is sponsored by Dynasty Athletic Performance and NC Football Connections.